Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be reading a book to you guys. The book that I'm going to be reading is Nightlight by the Harvard Lampoon. I don't know who that is, but it's like a parody of Twilight. That's what I've seen on the back, at least. Yeah, so the back says, I was wondering if I was gonna read this or not, but the back says, about 3 things I was absolutely certain. First, Edward was most likely my soulmate, maybe. Second, there was a vampire part of him, which I assumed was wildly out of his control, that wanted me dead. And third, I unconditionally, irrevocably, I probably said that wrong, impenetrably, okay, there's huge words, they're super long, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce those, wished he had kissed me. So basically, on the Twilight book itself, which I have over there, it has on the back, it says about 3 things. I forgot what it said, but they're basically twisting the words that's on the back of the Twilight book and trying to make fun of it, basically. But I actually really like the Twilight book itself. I think it's really good. Actually, I think it's perfect. I actually have a Twilight fan page on Instagram because I'm that obsessed with it. So it will be kind of interesting to see if this book is good or not. So yeah, if you guys hear anything in the background, by the way, it's raining off and on. So yeah. Okay, so let's just get started in the book. Okay. Okay, so first chapter is called First Look. The hot Phoenix sun glared down on the car windowsill where my bare, pallid arm dangled shamelessly. My mom and I were both going to the airport, but only I had a ticket waiting for me, and the ticket was one way. I had a dejected, brooding expression on my face, and I could tell from the reflection in the window that it was also an intriguing expression. It seemed out of place coming from a girl in a sleeveless, lacy top and bell-bottom jeans with stars on the back pockets. I was that kind of girl, out of place. Then I shifted from that place on the dashboard to a normal position in the seat. Much better. I was exiling myself from my mom's home in Phoenix to my dad's home in Switchblade. As a exile, I would know the pain of diaspora and the pleasure of imposing it, callously disregarding my own pleas to say one last goodbye. To the potted fungus I was cultivating. Okay guys, side note, this isn't in the book, but they have some big words in here. Seriously, I know that I have to be butchering most of them and not saying any of them correctly, but I'm trying my best here. And also, if you guys are hearing me take deep breaths, it's because it is super hot. It is so hot, but I don't have my fan on because I know it makes a loud noise. So, and also this Blue Yeti picks up everything and makes it much more loud than it actually is. So in reality, I'm actually not breathing that loud, but this thing definitely makes it sound like I am. Anyway, okay, back to the story. I had to coarsen my skin if I was going to be a refuge in Switchblade, a town in Northwest Oregon that no one knows about. Don't try to look it up on a map. It's not important enough. new stepdad and the only person available to take care of her while I was gone. I can't say that I trusted him, but he was cheaper than a sitter. I straightened up and crossed my arms. It was time to cut the crap. The emergency numbers are above the phone in the kitchen, I told him. If she gets hurt, skip the first two. They're your cell phone and Domino's. I've cooked enough meals to last you both the first month if you split 1/3 of a Stouffer's lasagna a day. My mom smiled at the thought of lasagna. You don't have to go, Belle, said Bill. Sure, my street hockey team is going on tour, but only around the neighborhood. There's plenty of space in the car for you. For you, your mom, and me to live. It's no big deal. I want to go. I want to leave all of my friends in the sunlight for a small, rainy town. Making you happy makes me happy. Please stay. Who will pay the bills when you leave? I could hear my boarding number being called. I bet Bill can run faster than Mom to the nice Jamba Juice man. I am the fastest, my mom shouted. As they ran off, Bill pulling her shirt to get ahead. I slowly backed away into the gate, through the jet bridge, and onto the plane. None of us were very good at saying goodbye. For some reason, it always came out good-buh. I was nervous about reuniting with my dad. He could be distant. 27 years of being the only window wiper and switchblade had forced him to distance himself from others by at least a window pane. I recall my mom breaking down on the sofa crying after one of their rows and him just watching her stoically right outside the window, wiping in powerful circular motions. When I saw him waiting for me outside the terminal, I walked towards him shyly, tripping over a toddler and soaring into a kitchen display. Embarrassed, I straightened up and fell down the escalator, somersaulting over the roller luggage, inconsiderately placed on the left side. I get my lack of coordination from my dad, who always used to push me down when I was learning how to walk. Are you alright? My dad left, studying me as I got off. That's my clumsy old Belle, he added, pointing to another girl. It's me, I'm your Belle, I cried, covering my face with my hair, like I normally wear it. Oh, hello, it's good to see you, Belle. He gave me a firm, gripping hug. It's good to see you too, Dad. How strange it felt to use that moniker. At home in Phoenix, I called him Jim and my mom called him Dad. You've grown so big, I didn't recognize you without the umbilical cord, I suppose. Had it really been that long? Had I really not seen my dad since I was 13 and going through my pet umbilical cord phase? I realized we had a lot of catching up to do. I hadn't brought all of my clothes from Phoenix, so I only had 12 bags. My dad and I took them in shifts to his Viper. Before you start making jabs about me, about being divorced, middle-aged, and going through a midlife crisis, he said, as we put our seatbelts, ankle straps, helmets. As we put on our seatbelts, ankle straps, and helmets. Allow me to explain that I need a very aerodynamic car as a window wiper. My customers are judgmental people. If I don't drag race to those windows, they're gonna question whether I'm the right guy to hang off their roofs. Push that button on, it raises the giant snakehead. I hoped he wasn't thinking of driving me to school in that car. Every other kid probably rode a donkey. I got you your own car, my dad said after I counted down and said blast off. He started the car after turning the key in the ignition several times. What kind of car? did you get it from? I asked, hoping he wouldn't say the dump. The street. Phew. Who sold it to you? Don't worry about it. It's a gift. I could not believe it. A huge truck to store all of the bottle caps I've always wanted to start collecting. I turned my attention to the window, which was reflecting a flushed, pleased expression. Beyond that, the rain poured hard on the green town of Switchblade. The two green town. In Phoenix, the only green things are traffic lights and alien flesh. Here, nature was green. The house was a 2-story Tudor, cream with chocolate tempering, like a miniature eclair that makes you fat for days. It was almost completely blocked from view. Sorry guys, I was looking at the same sentence twice. It was almost completely blocked from view by my truck, which had a large graphic on the side of a lumberjack sawing tree, with "You All" written above. The truck is beautiful. I breathed. I exhaled. Then I breathed again. Beautiful. I'm glad you like it because it's all yours. I looked at my huge, unwieldy truck and pictured it in the school parking lot, surrounded by flashy sports cars. Then I pictured it earring those other cars. I could not stop smiling. I knew my dad would insist on carrying my 12 bags into the house all by himself, so I ran ahead to my room. It looked familiar. 4 walls and a ceiling, just like my old room in Phoenix. Leave it to my dad to find little ways to make me feel at home. One nice thing about my dad is, as an old person, his hearing isn't too great. So when I closed the door to my room, unpacked, cried uncontrollably, slammed the door, and threw my clothes around my room, in a fit of dejected rage, he didn't even notice. It was a relief to let some of my steam out, but I wasn't ready to let all of it out yet. That would come later when my dad was asleep and I was lying awake, thinking about how ordinary kids my age are. If only one of them were extraordinary, then I'd be rid of this insomnia. I picked at my breakfast the next morning. The only cereal Dad had in the cupboard was fish flakes. After getting dressed, I looked in the mirror. Staring black was a sallow-cheeked girl with long, dark hair, pale skin, and dark eyes. Just kidding, that would be so scary. Staring back was me. I quickly combed my hair and picked up my backpack, sighing as I shimmied up the rope into my U-Haul. I hoped there wouldn't be any vampires at this school. Little did she know. In the school parking lot, I parked my truck in the only place it would fit, the principal's space and the vice principal's space. Besides my truck, the only other car that stood out was a race car with antennas stuck all over the top. What kind of human would drive such a posh vehicle? I wondered as I walked through the heavy front doors. Not any kind of human that I'd ever meet. A red-haired woman sat at the desk in the administration office. "What can I do for you?" she asked, eyeing me through her spectacles. embarrassing. Yeah, it is French. I took French at my old high school in Phoenix. Sometimes I just slip into it. Anyway, to put it into English, can you direct me to my next class? Sure, let's take a look at your schedule. I pulled it from my bag and released it into her pallid, chubby fingers, one of which was squeezed through a diamond ring like my sausage through a slip knot. I smiled at her. She looked like she would make a grateful wife. It looks like your first class is English. But I've already taken English. A few semesters of it, actually. Don't be smart with me, young lady. So, she knew I was smart. Flattered, I conceded. You know what? I said. I'll go. What the heck, right? Down the hall to your right, she told me. Room 201. Thank you, I said. It wasn't even noon yet, and I had already made a friend. Was I some kind of people magnet? Granted, she was a middle-aged woman, but that made sense. My mom always told me I was mature for my age, especially because I enjoy the taste of coffee with hot chocolate and sugar and milk. I sauntered maturely over to room 201, flung open the door, and peered at the students with my chin out. The whole class could tell I was friends with older people. The teacher scanned his attendance list. And you must be Bella Goose. All of this attention was getting a little embarrassing. Take a seat, he said. Unfortunately, the class was too basic to hold my interest. Ulysses, Gravity's Rainbow, Oblivion, and Atlas Shrugged, supplemented with the various lenses of Dorita, Foucault, Freud, Dr. Phil, Dr. Dre, and Dr. Seuss. I groaned loudly as the teacher droned on, introducing everyone's name. I'd have to ask my mom to send me some interesting literature like those essays I wrote last year. When the bell rang, the boy next to me predictably turned to me and started talking. Excuse me, he said, hoping I would fall in love with him or something. Your bag is in my way. I knew it. He was totally the your bag is in my way type. My name is Belle, I said. I wondered which was more surprising about me, my elbows, which are naturally pointy, or my demeanor, which is apathetic to popularity, even though I've read all the popularity handbooks so I could be popular if I tried. You can walk me to my next class. Sure, he said, wanting me. He made small talk on the way about how he was abandoned as a child and will only rest easy once he is avenged. His name was Tom. I could tell people passing by were listening in, hoping that I would reveal the mystery of my past. So, what was Phoenix like? He beseeched. It's hot there and sunny all the time. Really? Wow. You sound surprised. You must be surprised by how fair-skinned I am, coming from such a hot climate. I suppose you are, Belle. Yeah, we sat there gazing at him for what seemed like hours, but couldn't have been more than the entire lunch period. His eyes suddenly flicked towards me, slithering over my face and pouring into my heart like fangs. Just out of curiosity, I'm just gonna see how much longer this chapter is, so I know whether to do one video or two separate videos. Okay. So I'm actually going to stop here because there's still a few pages for chapter 1. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a few pages for chapter 1. So in my next video, I'll probably either, yeah, this is a good place to stop at too, because she's now seeing him. In my next video, I'll either finish chapter 1 or I'll finish it and also start chapter 2. So, yeah, anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video so far. I'm actually kind of interested to see what happens. I mean, I've seen Twilight, obviously. But as far as this book, I'm interested to see how they, like, handle everything and how it gets changed and all of that. It's actually a